Now it's
All
recording.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good morning,
Hey,
everybody.
good morning.
So how you
I'm
doing,
trying to
brother?
find the
What's going
scripture we are just talking about, but for some odd reason this morning my thinking ain't right, and I can't remember what I was going to look up.
on? Oh, just now?
Yeah, had to do
Uh,
with
were you gonna look up something about the coronavirus?
no about salvation.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. About what the gospel means. About what the gospel means to you, and security in your own salvation. Knowing that you're saved, right? How do we know that we're saved? That is a good topic, right?
Yeah.
Because that confidence, right, of knowing that you're saved allows you to do, you know, the good things that we do for God, because we feel secure, safe, we know that God loves us, and the gift is a choice. It's just a choice. It's not who does it best. It's not um how much you do, or it's a gift from God that we can choose. And I think that people lose sight of that. I think that people feel like, well, how do I know if I'm saved? I don't know if I'm really that good of a person, or this or that, we're not good people. None of us are, right? And a lot of people, put their salvation on themselves. Like, am I really worthy of it? Well, nobody's worthy of salvation. Nobody, right? And so the security is that the reason I know that I'm going to go to heaven is because God paid my punishment for me. He's the only one that can do it, and he did it. It's done, not just for me, but equally for everybody that chooses him. And so, I just, there's a lot of people that are really confused about that. They don't feel safe or secure with that. And when you start talking about the end times coming, they get worried and nervous and scared. They don't feel that confirmation and that kind of happiness that I feel when I see things going. Like, I don't want anyone to suffer, but when things come to pass, it's more and more confirmation. And I
Hmm.
want everyone to feel that kind of joy and peace, because it's going to get harder than this, a lot harder. And so, what does the gospel mean to you? I mean,
Well,
like, if you were going to tell somebody the gospel, what would it be?
salvation. Forgiveness,
Yeah,
grace. You're not worthy. Uh, you can't get there, but you're totally been bought and paid for. Your sin has been in blood. And if
yeah,
you want it, there's a free gift waiting for you to accept. You know, there's no works on salvation.
no,
You accept a free gift that's given to you to anybody who want. All you have to do is ask. You
that's
know,
it.
I mean that really is the bottom.
Yeah.
But about this salvation, I can't find it where Christ is talking. I think it's in John. That all that his Father has given him, he has them in that he should lose none of them.
Right, right, right.
But I wish I could
Uh,
find it so I could read the verse.
he wants that none of us should perish, and you know,
Right. And I can't
uh,
find that
it,
verse.
that's
Really,
that.
in context, it sounds a whole much better.
I think it's Ephesians 2:8, isn't it?
Let me take a look.
Ephesians 2:8. I think. Man, I'm the one remembering verses today. That's crazy. That is a miracle. That is a
No,
miracle.
that's that for grace ye are saved through faith, and that not of yourselves is the gift of God,
Yeah, I think you're right. It is in
not
God.
of any works, lest any man should boast.
Right. Right. That way, like, if that was the case, we would get to heaven, and I'd be like, oh yeah, I did, like, four different more things than Tom. What do you think, Jesus?
Right.
like,
Right.
like,
And that's our ego thinking we're doing something.
right,
You know,
right,
it,
and that's
and
not
there
the
are going to
spirit.
be people that have more faith, that are closer to God, understood the truth more, who have done a whole lot more than most people.
That's right.
But it's going to, in the end, it's the same. So God gives them more because they have more faith and more grace, and they're willing to do more.
Yeah.
And there's many circumstances around that can make those things happen.
Yeah,
but that guy doesn't get there any quicker or any better, any differently than the thief on the cross.
that's right. Exactly. And there's precedents set in the Bible all the way through, right? So that way you know exactly what the point is, right? And so I always go to the parable of the prodigal son, right? Is that he got his inheritance. He had there's two brothers, right? And
Hmm.
one does everything he's supposed to. He stays home. He's working for his dad, and he's 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 always doing the right thing. And then the other one takes off with his inheritance, spends it on hookers and drinking and whatever. Comes back, he's in a pig pen. He's in horrible shape, right? He's disgraced himself and his family, right? And his father comes out and puts a big ring on his finger, cooks the best fatted calf.
Fatted cow, yeah.
Yeah, it got everything together for him, threw a party for him, not just accepted him back, but threw a party for him when he came back, right? And that's how it is, right? Like not only is he
But the
going to get.
story goes, the other brother got upset about it. He was hurt,
Sure,
offended,
sure, and
and like his dad says, I've always had you.
that's
You've
right,
always been here. You've been
that's right,
eating at my table.
that's right.
He was lost and came back. I mean, that is one great analogy of how Christ looks at us when one of us backslide
Right.
and then come back, because it
That's
says the
right.
angels in heaven rejoice.
That's right. That's right.
So that
He rejoices more for that one sheep that comes back than for the 99 that are
that
still in
don't,
the pack.
because you have
And
them.
and then also in the parable of the vineyard when they're picking up people, he's the vineyard owner is picking up people all day long to work, right? And the person that shows up an hour before quitting time gets the exact same thing as the person who was there all day. And so it's not about how much work you do, right? It's not about how far down in the dumps you get, right? If you come back with sincerity, right, and you're willing to submit and say, hey, you know what, God, take my will in my life, and guide me, then you get the same thing as a person that's been in line their whole life, you know,
Right, because
and
the
it's
guy who had gone astray, that was his punishment. His life
yeah,
was miserable without
that's right,
God. And when he
that's right,
came back, that's where God says he's no respecter of persons. So it doesn't matter how good you think you are, you're still nothing.
that's
We're
right.
not good.
We're
What does
not
it
none of
say?
us.
There's no one righteous, no, not one.
That's
There is
right,
no one who has done good. I mean, no one. And look at the good things people have done. And that
that's right.
scripture applies to them too, right?
John the Baptist, Enoch, even them, right? Elijah, even those
David,
people.
Solomon,
That's right. That's right.
Abraham, Moses. I mean, Moses couldn't go into the promised land
That's right.
because he got angry,
Yeah.
and he was angry at the people and he didn't trust God there and he smacked that rock and water come flying through it or something like that, or he smote it 3 times instead of just once,
Yeah.
and then God's like, okay, now you ain't going in there.
But he's in paradise now.
Oh, absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, he had to walk himself to his own death, to his own grave.
Well, see, and
Nobody know where it's at.
the thing that makes me happy though, right, is that when we go to heaven, we're just like them. And even though they might have done a lot more, or they've uh, you know, uh, had a lot more attention from God during their lives or whatever, right? When we go up there, we are all flesh and blood human beings, right? It makes me feel special to know that like that's what I am too.
Hmm.
And sure, there was a lot of my life. I would say a chunk of my life where I was way lost. And um and it's like when you come back, like, and naturally, like, this is the way it is for a human being. Naturally, I feel cravings to do things that God doesn't want me to do, you know?
Right.
I feel naturally good doing those things, you know? But it's about going against that. It's about going against what's comfortable, right?
Well, let me
And
ask you this.
yeah,
If you were to take a ride over to Washington, D.C., walk up to the White House, knock on the door, and ask Donald Trump if you could come in and have supper with him, you think
yeah,
you'd be able to get that far?
no, no
But if
way.
you went up to Adam and said, "Hey, Adam, you want to come over to my house for dinner?" He'd rejoice
Yeah,
and he'd tell you all about what happened back in the day. You know,
that's
that's
right.
the difference between Christian and non-Christian. We're all the same. We all fell. We all have
That's right.
everything in common. We don't have
Sure.
nothing in common with anybody else. And what, who's Trump? I mean, he's nothing. He's a nobody,
Yeah.
right? People make him
Well,
out to be. He makes
I,
himself out to be. That's pride and ego.
I would say this: you don't get to where he's at without being part of the game. You know.
Absolutely. Of the bad game.
Yeah.
He's on the wrong side.
There's only one game in the world, and it's not good.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
they throw
he's
you.
on the wrong side.
They threw a big parade in New York, and had a for abortion. You know, for when that abortion law passed, there was people in the streets celebrating, and it was an abortion law that allowed abortions between 6 and 9 months. You know,
Oh, yeah, yeah. When did
that's
that
that's
happen? Recently?
no, that was about a year ago, and they're even trying to do one where they can go up to 9 months, and
I,
that's
I
to
s-
me, that's just a full baby. You know,
yeah, and they won't even do it when they're
it's
already been
insane.
born too.
It's insane. You know, because like I could put myself right, and don't get the wrong idea, but like as a human being, I can put myself in a desperate situation in my mind where I'm a scared female. I can't handle the responsibility, and it'd be better if it just went away. Being pregnant, right? I get that, right? I get it. Or if there's some kind of psychological reason why you can't, or the guy leaves, or whatever, or who knows, right? I can see being in that position, right? And it being legal makes it even worse because it's an option now, right? And it's like I can see that, and I can show sympathy for that, right? But at the same time, right, we have to look at it for what it is. If you have two heartbeats, then it's two people, right? And even before that, just the spark of life should mean something, you
Right,
know.
right,
uh, you know, because no matter what, and these evil lizards out there, these scientists, right, that want to prove evolution so bad, they can't create life in a lab, and they've been trying so hard, for many many years, right, and now they're doing this robot crap, right, but 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 no one can create life, only God can do that miracle, and so it's a process that should be sacred, but it's just a shame at where we are in the world where that's something that's just an option. It's one of those things that's like getting a cup of coffee this morning. I could go to that doctor and get, you know, and it's sad. It's sad because I think that the actual person getting it done has been brainwashed.
right,
To the point where it's still their fault, it's still their decision to do it, right? but but at the same time, right, if they knew the truth about everything, and if the world was straight up with them from their birth, right, then they would know what they were doing,
yep,
and because you see all the people wearing a mask, right, with and here's the thing, like the mask doesn't help you. I mean, if you look it up and you look at the science, and even if you believe that the COVID is real, right? It doesn't help you or the other person, right, for you to have a mask on, right, in a significant way, right? But people still wear it, right? And and
right,
and and that's the level of thinking that people have. And it's hard for us to imagine them doing something like abortion, but that's where they are mentally. And I don't think it's a matter of intelligence. I think it's spiritually, you get woken up more the more you believe, the more your faith is, the scales come from your eyes and you
Absolutely.
see reality, and
If you
and
can't
people.
accept the fake
Mhm,
moon landing or 9/11, I mean, in those things, I mean, you've had decades to understand and see the truth. If you can't
yeah,
even look at those two things, I mean, you're definitely gonna look at flat Earth and other stuff.
yeah, yeah. And those things are incontrovertible to me. Like,
Incontrovertible.
yeah, yeah, they are definitely fake or definitely staged, you know, things, and
And
it's
here's the thing: when people always ask, "Prove it," well, if you don't do your own research, you're not going to get anybody to believe you by you proving it. But like, if you tell them all the moon rocks ever tested all came back to be fossilized wood, well, then they come up with another excuse. So what? Or I don't want to hear it. Well, when you don't go look for yourself with an open mind, that's the attitude you're going to have. We all have had it,
yeah.
but once you take a look and say, you know,
Well, what should get people's brains going, right? Is that, well, number one, the footage of the moon landing is just ridiculous now. Just looking at that, you should know that's fake, right? As a human being.
right. Yep.
Like, because kids now get it, they look at it and go, what? you know but
Right.
like uh, but like, if you think about, this is what should get your brain going, right? The moon rocks are in like a museum with like special air and special environment and all that, right? But all the telemetry data, all the all that stuff, that was just put in a box somewhere, you know
And
and
destroyed.
lost. Yeah, right. Right, like that. They're not going to keep the tapes of walking on the moon. And if you're on the moon, right, why are you taking pictures of the moon? We see the moon every day. Take pictures of Earth,
Take
you
pictures of
know?
the stars.
Yeah,
You
if
know why
you're
they
on
couldn't
the
take
moon,
pictures of the stars?
because they weren't in they
Because
weren't in
we
the
couldn't
sky,
see them. I don't remember seeing the stars. You're
even though
on the
they
moon and you didn't look up?
even though that their shuttle was made to navigate by the stars, right? Like, they couldn't see the stars, so they were navigating by something they couldn't see.
And I like to know how they navigated, where they got that fuel from, and how they kept that capsule heated and cooled.
Yeah, I wonder why the Earth didn't just run away from them, because once you're in between the moon and the Earth, right, you're out of the atmosphere, and shouldn't the Earth be going 500,000 miles an hour somewhere?
The moon's gravity must have kept them in there. You
I
know what I'm
love it
saying?
because that's what they say, and they're serious about it.
Yeah, it's like
And
how the
and
moon
it's
causes tides, but only on the oceans. It don't affect the lakes, the rivers, or nothing. Just on
right.
the oceans.
Yeah, it leaves my swimming pool alone.
Yeah, yeah, right.
But here's the thing: if you are 250 miles from Earth in the space station and you can float around, right? Well then, how come the moon is not affecting you at all? How come you're weightless but it's pulling the ocean? I don't
Mm-hmm.
get it. That's a little weird, isn't it? Because that's 200 and something thousand miles away.
Mass attracts mass. I mean, that's they got some stupid answer for everything, and the sad thing is they believe it. They have to know it's not true, but just can't conceive of the idea if it's not how they've been taught.
Well, here's the crazy part. Like, if you hear how Jim Panda talks, because I was paying close attention to him, he's one of the guys that's been around forever.
Right.
And I didn't get on the scene until about 2017. So like I was a little later. But a lot of these guys were there since 2015, right? And Jim Panda was saying, well, 99.9% of the world believes in the heliocentric model, so the heliocentric model is not dead. So to him, all it matters is that the majority of the people believe it, not that if it's real or not, not if it's true, just that, well, everyone believes it, and your flat Earth is dead. Well, it might not have a lot of believers yet, but if it's reality, then it's the truth. Like,
And
we
it's not
don't
a
live.
consensus. Consensus doesn't make something true or not.
Right, right. And then I love how they go through this. Oh yeah, everyone's in on it. And NASA's guarding the penguins and blah blah blah. You know, they make it sound ridiculous, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then they'll say something like, "Oh yeah, the light bends 2 miles around the curvature to make it look absolutely flat."
Right. Right. Right.
Then that's the biggest conspiracy in the world then, right? Is the earth sure does want to look flat, you know? And
I mean,
okay,
the reason you can't go down to Antarctica and explore, for one, I think because there's so much more land, and two, I
yeah,
think you could actually see the firmament.
yeah,
I mean, they
it-
found it. It's in
sure.
an encyclopedia. They know at least one position of it.
I'm sure that many people knew about it. I think what they did was once they weaseled their way into power in all of the different categories, you know, once they weaseled their way into complete power, they erased everything, you know. I
Yeah, I
think
mean,
that I
I really do believe there's probably some really sweet land over there somewhere,
could be, could be, and I think that
untouched. And
I think that there's people like I think that there's you know angelic beings that do exist on the earth and can go you know either way to heaven and to earth and
well, sure
visit
there is.
and
Absolutely.
and uh and you know more people. Well, I would say almost you know say like 90% of the people or more believe that dinosaurs were a species before human beings, right?
Right.
And but not, you know not none of those people believe that an angel is a physical thing, you know, a physical real and they could be because the Bible sets precedents for things, right? And so when Isaac Isaac no um, Abraham was
Abraham.
gonna Abraham was gonna sacrifice Isaac, right? The Satan came as a human being to talk to Sarah about it, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
so the devil can't assume a human form, you know, like the devil can look like a human being, you know.
So can the angels. That's all through
Right,
scripture.
right,
And the
right,
devil is a fallen angel, so that makes perfect sense. And there's
and
no one
right,
should be able to dispute that unless you're just being ignorant.
unless you're hiding it, you know, unless you're hiding it or you're dumb, you know.
Yeah, no, you're just willingly being ignorant.
Right, because you
And
don't
there
want
are
to
a lot of people like that.
yeah, they'd rather not look into it because it's just easier not to believe, you know. And
It's easier not to know the truth.
yeah, you're right. The
You
truth
know,
hurts, you know. That's why we get trolled, you know. We get trolled all day long, and it's just confirmation to me that we're telling the truth because why would they be here
right.
if what we're saying doesn't rub them the wrong way, you know? Because
Mm-hmm.
we're not saying anything that's abusive or hurtful to anybody, you know. So it must be something they don't want out, you know. And so they want to make us feel as bad as possible, but I don't feel bad from it. I mean, it sucks having to block everybody, you
I'll
know.
tell you what gets me every time. Dr. Kaufman's had a few new videos out the past few days, and
Mhm.
I watch all this stuff. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I realize just how close we were to having him on our show.
Yeah. That would
I
have been
mean,
great.
when I first seen his first interview, I was like, I knew how big he was going to get, and if we could have just got him right off the bat, um,
That would have
but of
been
course
amazing.
it didn't work out that way, you
Yeah.
know. But believe me, I'm so thankful he's out there. He's on the platforms he's on. He's getting seen,
Yeah.
and it's just phenomenal.
I think so. Because he's putting himself out there.
I mean, he's backing everything up he says.
That's right.
I mean, and
That's
that's the
right.
key. He's
Well,
no quack. This guy is,
I'll tell
you
you
have
what, I
people who understand stuff, and then you got those who, really
go with the flow.
understand it. He's one of those.
Yeah.
He's above intelligence on most people.
I think so. Yeah, for sure. He's smarter than most people. There's no doubt about that.
In his field. He
I
understands medical
I
stuff.
have
He understands science. I mean, it's
I
like QE. QE is so above everybody when he's talking about quantum physics and um,
scientific method.
all those experiments and science. All those tests. It's hard to follow. I mean, I can probably repeat some of it, but I don't understand it. He understands it, what he's saying.
Yeah.
Love him or hate him, the guy is phenom.
Well, see, like if you go through history, right? Well, if you go through history, uh, every time you run into a smart person or someone that's like above, you know, someone that's I'd say genius level, right, or
Mm-hmm.
close to it, right? They're always going to be some kind of weird, quirky kind of loner, some weirdo,
Usually.
or have some kind of emotional, immaturity or whatever. But that's normal, right? That's normal because they've had to spend their whole lives explaining shit to people. People don't understand what they say and call them an idiot, even though they're not the idiot. And
Yeah.
it's got to be frustrating, to have to deal with people, that don't understand what gifts you bring to the world. That's got to be frustrating. It's got to make you feel like, wow, these people are so ungrateful. I hate dealing with them every day.
See,
I,
one thing with QE is that he is so smart, he expects everybody else to know it, or like when he
yeah,
teaches it, that you should get it.
yeah,
Well,
the first
people,
time. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, when he does a presentation, there's so much information. Yeah, I can get one thing out of it, but I can't remember the other 99%. And that's just how my brain works. I wish I could, you know, I wish
that's,
after listening to him two or three shows, like, no, now I got it. Now I can explain it to somebody else. That ain't gonna happen.
yeah.
Not with me.
Well,
I mean, some other people can pick it up and do that.
I,
I mean,
I
I
think
remember listening to him on when Robert Bassano's first channel, and he never talked much, but as soon as I heard him, I'm like, this guy's good. This guy knows what he's talking about. And I spent a long time trying to find to see if he had a channel and actually who he was. All I knew his name was John. And then
yeah.
I heard him on Nathan's one time, and I'm like, that just his voice. I'm like, that's him, that's him. And that's how I got so wrapped up in Nathan's because QE was on there all the time.
Yeah.
That's the guy I wanted to hear.
Well, I'll tell you what, QE changed Nathan's channel 100% because Nathan wasn't doing the scientific method and fallacies and all that. He was just arguing the points of flat Earth that he knew. Because Nathan's a smart guy. He could get away with probably doing the show without QE, but when QE got there, um, it changed everything. And now Nathan has a good mastery of it, I think, to where he can operate by himself, right? But
Oh,
like,
sure.
in an equal kind of way. But QE's, you can tell that QE's slightly above where Nathan's at. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
you
Yes.
know,
It'd be like this. QE would be the teacher of it, and Nathan Oakley could be the debater of it. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? They both
true.
have their gifts.
Yes,
It's just like I've even seen John
Nathan knows
and
how to have.
Robert Bassano kind of go at odds a little bit because that
Yeah,
Robert Bassano's a smart dude too, but he'll kind of get out in left field with stuff.
yeah, yeah.
John don't play that game,
No,
you know,
no, that's right.
and they're good friends.
Yeah, and then, well, see, Nathan is really good at like um, communicating with people, knowing what's appropriate to say, what's not appropriate to say. He has the appropriate level of confidence, can remember everything that person has told him. You know, like he is good with interacting with people. He'd be like great in sales. I think that's what he said he used to do. That would be his forte is communicating with people. And some people that are smart can't do that. You know,
He's good at taking people to the woodshed.
that's right. Straight to the woodshed.
Yeah, straight to the woodshed. I mean, just before the guy even gets there, he's already got a shirt peeled off. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. That's right. A
You
guy,
know, and
a
twig
guy,
in hand,
a
pants
guy
pulled
open,
down,
a guy
belt
open,
off, pants pulled down below the knees, and splinters are on their way.
a guy just opens his mouth and makes one little peep, and Nathan's like, "I knew what you were gonna do with this. I was gonna say this, you were gonna say that, and I'm destroying your point." You're like, "All I did was cough, brother." Like, what?
It's like we had an interview. I can't remember whose channel he was on and who he was debating, but he stayed calm, cool the whole show. It was just last week, and he
Oh, wait,
crushed the guy.
Nathan?
Huh?
Nathan? Nathan?
It wasn't Nathan Oakley.
Who was it?
No, I don't know. Some other dude I never heard of. There ended up like two of them kind of going against QE, And
Well, oh, I know who
I
you're talking.
think Nathan Thompson was the moderator.
QE was actually debating.
Yeah, some guys wanted to debate him because they said um, they were going to. Nathan Thompson wanted to debate him, but they said he'd be too easy, so they wanted QE. So QE come on and did it, and he did it logically, remained calm. The guy would ask for more time instead of QE just erupting. No, no, no. Go ahead, sir. Take your time. Answers like that. And then the guy would come up with something, and then QE would just show him the flaws. The guy actually spun around and actually accepted some of the facts that QE was talking about.
Yeah,
I should try to find it. You probably can find it on Nathan Thompson's show.
probably will look that up
It
because
was
it's
good. It was like an hour and a half long, and you'd be stunned. I mean, you can see where a few times where QE, if that had been on Nathan, see what it went Buck Cherry.
yeah, right. But there,
Because you can. That's what that show's about.
yeah,
But on this, even the guy kept thanking QE for being so considerate and polite and understanding.
yeah.
And at one time he said QE said something that QE didn't, instead of
I th-
QE calling him all kinds of names.
I
Well,
thought
I
I
never
stayed.
said that, but go ahead and show me. Show
Oh
me where
yeah.
it's at. And of course the guy couldn't, and it just
No, they
ended
can't.
ended
They
cool.
can't. If you just let them explain what they're trying to explain, it really they don't have an answer for. It's not like there's like one hole in their model. They don't have um, a mechanical answer for how we breathe. They don't have uh, anything concrete about how we move around. They don't have anything concrete about Coriolis. They don't have anything concrete about motion of the Earth, how to test that. They don't like every single part of their thing falls apart in reality. The only thing that they have, right, is they know how materials act on Earth, and they equate dense items falling down as an attraction in the math. That's it. That's all they got. And if you let them explain it, people will get it. Like wow, that is ridiculous. But what happens is that when halfway smart people say smart stuff, some people check out because it's like, oh, that's not very entertaining, or it's complicated, and whatever. What they're saying is probably right.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
This is going to be just tell you how awesome the life is in creation that God gave us. What is like the you guys got like little gnats or no-see-ums out in California, or just a little teeny tiny bug like you think what there's no purpose for this thing and all it does is bite me.
Yeah.
What do
Yeah, we
you
got
what do you have
uh,
like that out there?
we have little tiny ants. We got little tiny gnats, I guess.
Oh, okay, just think of a little tiny gnat, okay? You
Yeah.
barely can see them. They bite you, you feel it, you know. They seem to have no purpose. They're just nothing but a little teeny tiny bug. Well, if a tornado was to fly through a junkyard and it would create a fleet of Boeing 747s, okay?
Yep. Yeah.
In no way would that compare to what makes that little teeny tiny bug
You're
live
right.
and do what it did. That little tiny, you know, pain in the butt gnat is
Because
more
no matter
complex than an entire fleet of Boeing 747s. You think
because
about that.
this is the crazy part about it. Not only is it that little organism complicated like that, but it can create other little organisms.
Yes, yes.
Like
It,
a Boeing 747 can't make another one by itself.
and it can't even fly without someone flying it.
Exactly.
Okay, and over time it's just going to rust. This little bug is going to reproduce, die, but it has offspring to reproduce. They'll die. When that Boeing 747 rusts and falls apart, another one's not going to take its place.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
mean, it's just the smallest form of life is more complex than anything man has ever built.
Right.
Take your warships or your submarines. Doesn't compare to a sugar ant.
No, it doesn't. It
I
really
mean,
doesn't. It really
It's
does.
unbelievable.
It is. It is unbelievable. Can you imagine, like, well, when like the half angels and giants, like just imagine what they were capable of and what they were made of, and they must have been so sophisticated. I mean, vicious, right? It sucks, right? But like so complicated and so powerful.
Well, you look at all those megalithic structures around the world, I truly believe they built those.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because it's probably
Acapulco
just
and
like
all
playing.
the, you know,
Yeah.
even maybe even the pyramids.
Yeah. It was like
There
block
is
footage,
there is some information out there called the Lost um, Pyramid of Enoch, to where like there's something that made it look like Enoch may have built those pyramids, which could be true.
The Temple of Enoch.
Yeah, and then but there's all these other fascinating um, sites that are even more um, greater than the pyramids. You just don't hear about them much, and most of them are on bigger ruins than the pyramids, But they're just unbelievable, these structures, and that we have no concept of how they could even have come close to building these things
They're
to
so
precision that
mathematically
they did.
perfect. Yeah, they're
I mean,
mathematically perfect, and
yeah,
they
yeah,
they employ complicated stuff like the golden ratio, the Fibonacci, uh,
yeah.
like very very
Square
complicated.
within the square, perfect.
Right?
These big, huge, massive blocks would fit together like Lincoln logs, basically.
Yeah.
You know,
No mortar. No mortar.
yeah, airtight.
Perfectly airtight, and not only that, but lined up with something in the air, like something.
Usually, yes. Yep,
Yeah,
with some
like like
constellation.
star.
And not only that, they'll actually then be lined up to another one of these megaliths thousands of miles away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they're built all over the world like that, to be like that.
Hmm.
And you wonder why people would at least not agree that the earth is stationary if these things line up to stars, every night. You know what I mean? For how many years, that like that tip of that pyramid sees this exact star, Like that's,
But
I
guess how
mean,
they cut those holes through those things for on the summer and winter equinoxes? I
there's
mean, you
gotta
know what precision it takes for that?
yeah.
You
Oh
know,
yeah, yeah,
only
yeah, yeah.
twice a year the sun will come directly through a hole in
Yeah.
this rock, in one of their things, and it's like, wow, just what it would take to figure that out. That without even building the structure.
Right. It's got to be some kind of fallen angel technology, some kind. I mean, unless you're like, I mean, even a genius human being would need other genius human beings to make that work.
But you'd have to be big and powerful and have some awesome technology to move and to make it happen.
That's right.
I mean, with our technology today, we couldn't build one pyramid.
Yeah, not with what
Big
they
one.
give us. Maybe they have something better, you know.
I mean, they couldn't keep it as level. They couldn't keep, we just can't do it.
Yeah,
We can't get the rocks high enough, you
we
know.
couldn't. No way. I mean, how many tons those rocks are?
Man, some of them were like 5 tons, one
Yeah,
one block.
there's no
Move
way of
that.
doing that. Yeah, with no tractors, with no diesel engines, with no get out of here.
And with those diesel engines and tractors, you still can't move them and place them
Can't.
like that.
Nope.
And
Nope.
then have these hidden tunnels and
They
things
want us
inside them.
they
Come
want us to
on, bro.
believe that the Jewish slaves had scaffolding, like on the pyramid, and they were the rocks were being dragged up there or something. Like that's just an insane
And I
story.
like to know what rope is strong enough to drag a 5 ton block across sand,
It would be interesting to know, right?
you know, because I wouldn't
It's
mind
just
having a piece of that for my fishing line.
yeah, right.
No more fish breaking off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's just crazy what they expect us to believe. Like I'm at the point now where history is just the mainstream news of the past. It's all lies probably. I don't know what to believe. Right? I can almost erase it all and just act like it never happened and get along just fine because it's too hard to figure it all out. And
Right.
there's 1,000 years that are just disappeared. Right? that, like, they call them the Dark Ages, where nothing happened, nothing took place, no art was formed, no nothing came out of it. And then, like, in the 1500s, all the art in the world came from the 1500s. And it's like, come on, man, like, what is really going on, right? Like what, like I don't believe in politics. I don't believe in history. I don't believe in most of science. Math, I guess, is pretty basic, but it's like going to school uh, actually was really abusive in a way.
Yes, when you look back now, yes, you can see how all it did was indoctrinate you and make you believe
Yeah.
lies.
I mean, there was a time in my life where that I thought that I did come from, like, an animal that came out of the ocean and grew feet and then, became a monkey. And then me, like, I really believed that they were teaching me something that was real.
You want me this is how I learned that. My
Yeah.
sister, and I was a young teenager, and my sister was just a year or two older than me. How I came to believe her dad was a pastor, a Baptist pastor. And I remember we were up in her bedroom talking. And I remember, her must have said something like, well, I thought we came from monkeys, and I'm like 10, 12 years old. And that's when
Right.
she's like, no, well, that's not true. We didn't come from monkeys. And that's my first remembrance of experiencing I've been lied to. Yeah, I didn't clump it all together, but then I realized, well, man, we didn't come from monkeys,
Yeah.
and then I think maybe that's when I started searching God and not really realizing that I was doing it because I was so young and didn't know any better. But I remember praying all the time, but I don't know where I got that in me to pray because I was never taught any of that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It's almost like you're chosen.
Yeah. Oh man, I got
So,
somebody here.
all right. Well, hey, good talk, man. Are you gonna get this up, or do you want me? I mean, I could throw it up extra raw, but
No, I'll get it up. Cut the beginning and end out if it needs be. It might take a little bit. I'll do it after Arwen's show.
yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Whenever.
All right, bruv.
All right, brother. Love you, man. I hope you get through the day, man. Be good. All right.
It's good.
God
It's
bless
good.
you.
Thanks, you too. God bless, bro.